In hour number one, I was joined by Christiana Malakara. In hour number two here, I'm joined by another host from one of our great weekend shows, Joe Volk, the host of Generating Gratitude. Joe, good morning.
Thanks, Jonathan. Grateful to be with you.
Absolutely. You can hear Joe Saturday mornings at 7, Sunday evenings at 5. And I think we've got a little piece of this last week's episode queued up for later in the hour. Really cool story. So a good opportunity to share a little snippet of that show with you here this morning. But in the meantime, before we get to that, we've got some fun to get to because, Joe, your show's kind of a downer sometimes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You sound like my wife. Thank you.
Let's start it out with something a little bit more fun here. Coming up this weekend, some fun stuff going on in Pinconning as it is the Cheesetown Festival, and here to talk more about that, we've got Brian Saha with Pinconning Cheese. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jonathan and Joe.
Yeah, good morning, Brian. Hey, quick question for you. How did Pinconning get to be a cheese capital? You know, it's just kind of interesting. How did that happen?
Well, it's well over 100 years ago, 1915, Dan Horn, who was living in Wisconsin at that point in time and was a cheesemaker there, he relocated to Pinconning to follow his sister who lived in the area. At that point in time, the timbering age was just being timbered out, and a lot of vacant land, farmland, became available because of the land was all timbered out. And the natural agriculture purpose for that land was dairy industry or cows. So we had excess of milk in the area, and what better to do with excess milk was to make cheese. So Dan Horn constructed a factory here in the city of Pinconning, the Horn Cheese Factory, and began making his special formula cheese, which is now named Pinconning cheese after his formulation, which is Colby cheese, a high butter fat, a really creamy, open texture cheese, and it's ageable from squeaky mild. We age it all the way up to over 15 years old. So it took off from there. Over the years, his daughter Inez Wilson marketed the cheese. Actually, she marketed the cheese at the Horn grocery store or market that was adjacent to the cheese factory, and she had more ideas of marketing, and in 1939 she built a store across the street from the factory, which is on the road going through Pinconning, which was old US 23 at that point in time, which is now N13, but and marketed the Pinconning cheese, and she lobbied the state through her years of operating the store and to get the designation for the city of Pinconning to become the cheese capital of Michigan. So she was a great marketer, entrepreneur, and a great politician too.
And that cheese has really become a big part of Pinconning's identity. You can't drive down the street without seeing some kind of cheese there. I went to Standish Sterling Central High School, and we had like an honors dinner my graduating year almost 10 years ago, and it was held at the Pinconning the Pinconning Cheese House there. Absolutely a big part of it. So when did the festival get started?
The festival's been around for quite a while, from the 40s on, sporadically and consistently since the 60s. It had maybe one or two off years in that point in time, but it's been a long time celebration for the city over the years from the mid 60s on. And in addition to that, about 40 years ago, we started the Cheesetown Challenge race, which is a 5K, a 2K, 5K run along with a walk and a little Mises race. That became part of the festival events too. So the festival itself's been part of our celebration of our town for many years.
I got to be honest, when I eat cheese, I'm not thinking, hey, it's time to run a 5K most of the time. Do we save the cheese until after the run?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, probably
Well,
not.
it'd be more interesting if you had cheese like throughout the races.
At the little stops, yeah.
Yes, yeah, instead of like water, cheese.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
how many brands of cheese? How many different styles of cheese are there? A couple hundred?
We market in our stores at least probably 200 different varieties. We have access to a lot more. It depends on the domestic versus the, in addition to the imported varieties of cheese. So the stores, the Wilson Cheese and Pinconning Cheese markets, all those obviously included our Pinconning style cheeses, and we do produce flavored cheeses with different flavors using the Pinconning or the Colby curds and the cheddar curds that are produced at the factory. So we have varieties of cheese that are flavored, such as Morel and Leeks, Pepper Jack, hot cheeses, Carolina, Reaper cheese, all different varieties of tastes, of flavors that you can think of. We try and experiment with that with cheese with cheese. So it's just not just the plain old cheeses we have all different flavors, and we also blend our own spreads at the stores. From our most popular is a horseradish spread to garlic and herb and cream cheese based spreads. So all that is done at our stores and marketed in our stores and on our e-commerce sites, WilsonCheese.com and PinkconningCheese.com. So we do ship all over the country. For all of displaced Michiganders that are all over the United States. So we have a pretty good online sales presence too.
That's awesome. All of that available this weekend at the Pinconning Cheesetown Festival. Tell us a little bit, what are the dates for that? I saw them earlier, but they slipped my mind.
Yeah, well, festivities pretty much start out this week, today or tonight in the city park, Doc Litchfield Park, which is right in the city adjacent to Wilson's Cheese Shop. We have Tuesdays in the Park, which starts our summer schedule of music events every Tuesday from 7 to 8. We have a band at our band shell. Tonight is Electric Machete. It's a rock and roll band starting at 7. And more or less you bring your refreshments and your lawn chair and enjoy the music. So that starts tonight. Tomorrow is summer reading kickoff at the city park again, and that starts from 5 to 7, and it's sponsored by our Bay County Library System, which we have a really beautiful Pinconning branch library in downtown Pinconning. They are sponsoring that, and it's a bunch of events for the kids. We have a band tomorrow night too at the band shell with that event, bounce houses and slides, touch a truck. Trucks will be there, games and activities. A dental bus will be there, and there will be some fun things from our local businesses also participating in that. And then we move to Friday. Begins our actual Cheese Festival weekend activities. From 5 to 7, we have our spectacular mac and cheese cook-off contest, which are all our local businesses put their hand in their presenting their mac and cheese recipes to our town, and that is a paid event. I believe it's $7 to get in, and you'll get your fill of all different varieties of mac and cheese recipe concoctions, and the participants or the people that go in, they vote for the most popular. Then we have judges too, so we'll have a judged award and then a most popular award for whoever wins the contest with those that participate in the event. And then at the same spot, and that's at the Pinconning Community Center, which is adjacent to the city park also. And then there will be registration for the Cheesetown Challenge race that same night at the community building. Then Saturday begins the whole event. We have the parade starts at 11 o'clock, And it starts from St. Mike's Church downtown and comes to the city park, ends at the city park. We have cornhole tournament starting at 11:30, inflatables for the kids from noon to dark. We have a Penny Mini Farm Petting Zoo will be there at noon. Touch a Truck again will be there at noon, and vendors, arts, crafts, and food from noon to 5. And then we have 11 p.m. BYOB tent with adult beverages, designated area, along with adjacent to the cornhole contest, and food trucks and a lot of different crafts. And the Cheesetown Challenge race starts at 6 p.m.
That's
and
on
it runs
Saturday,
for about an hour from start to finish between the 3 to 4 different levels of racing. And from 6 to 10, we have live music with Via Rex at the band shell at the park. And then at dusk, we have our finale, which is our annual Cheesetacular fireworks. It's about a 25-minute show, and it's a very, very nice show. So bring your chairs and come out to the park and watch the fireworks at dark. Also, Saturday we have another event in town. Ultimate Champion Wrestling is going to be here in town at PJ's Pizzeria, which is adjacent to the Pinconning High School. That is a paid event to access that, but that event's also going on Saturday.
Awesome. Plenty to do in Pinconning for the Cheesetown Festival here this weekend. Brian, thanks for telling us all about it. Is there anywhere people can find out more?
Yeah, they can call or Chamber of Commerce is all volunteers, so they could get a hold of me at Pinconning Cheese, 989-879-2281, or Ryan at Wilson Cheese, 989-879-2002. It's the events are also posted on the Lumen Pinconning Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, so you can access that there also.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Good luck here this weekend, and hey, I might hop up and get some cheese as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you just have to tell your weatherman to keep that rain away for the weekend.
I'll let Terry know. All right. That is Brian Saha with Pinconning Cheese Company. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, talking with Joe Volk a little bit about his weekend show, and we've got a little clip to play for you as well. Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. Jonathan Dent filling in for Art along with Joe Volk here this morning. Joe, the host of Generating Gratitude Weekends here on WSGW. Good morning, Joe.
That was pretty serious music there.
It's pretty intense.
You're expecting a serious topic there.
I don't have control over which music gets played, but
all right, time to be serious.
Yes. Well, it is kind of serious, talking about generating gratitude, and the show itself covers serious subject matter, but it approaches it from a perspective of gratitude, which I don't think I'm with you in the room when we're recording these shows on a weekly basis. I don't think I understood that concept of gratitude as it applies to some of the topics that you cover there. If we're talking about addiction and recovery, cancer survivorship, all sorts of things on the show, and it's through a lens of gratitude.
Anybody that's lived through trauma, whether it's addiction, whether it's brushes with death, cancer, all that sort of stuff, it's amazing how much gratitude they have, and it's great to have gratitude, but the unfortunate part about gratitude is most people don't get it until they face the risk of losing everything that they have. If you lose everything if you're this close to losing everything that you have, it's amazing if you're spared that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much gratitude, wow, I have gratitude. I wish, in society and people today, I can't stand people. Okay? I have a hard time with people today. Especially like political people. Just because they're full of hot air. And people aren't grateful for anything. You think about it. If you're a recovering alcoholic, recovering addict, or anything like, you wake up and you make a gratitude list. What am I grateful for today? Got family, yep. Got friends, yep. Got a car that works. I got a house. I got food.
I got out of bed this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
And people, we've become so stupidly entitled. And social media is a toilet. Okay, it's basically, everybody. I have a Joe theory on social media. It's people trying to prove to themselves how good their life is by posting stupid stuff.
And then other people validate how good their life is. Yeah.
Or they then spend all the time tearing each other down because they're jealous. Well, my life isn't like that. They must have blah, 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 blah. Be grateful, folks. And that's, political people. I know Art has political people on all the time, and I can't stand political people. Because political people are so, my guy is all right, your side is all wrong. Which is not true. If you can't find good in everybody, if you can't find bad in everybody, then I don't want to talk to you. Just my blinder. And so gratitude, people that have recovered from addiction, people that have, tried to end their own lives. And are we going to do the Brandon thing here?
Yeah, let's intro Brandon.
Okay, Brandon Hilliker, great guy. Age 13, tried to end his own life.
He was 13?
Yeah.
I don't remember that being part of this conversation.
He was 13, tried to end his own life. Has since, gone on to great things. He's one of these stupidly athletic people that swims around Mackinac Island. And a little bit later in July, I believe, he's doing a run, a bike, and a swim from Hell, Michigan to Paradise, Michigan. It's about 400 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a recovering alcoholic, but I'm not doing that stuff.
No.
All right. But, he shared his story on generating gratitude. Now, the clip shares a little bit about his attempt to try to end his life. So if you're a little squeamish on that, and I can understand that, you might want to turn away. But you got to hear this stuff because this is real life. And so if we could please, Brendan Hilliker on generating gratitude. When somebody thinks about ending their own life and the thought process where that becomes the best alternative, normal people don't necessarily understand that. I'm an alcoholic, and I've sat through many support group meetings with a few folks. In fact, one of my best friends in the program tried a couple of times to end his own life. Describe as best you can to
understood that. I started to form these negative coping skills of every time I went through trauma or every time that my mental health was bad, I kind of fantasized about ending my own life to end the pain. And a manic episode is very hard. It's very painful, and it's a severe thing. And when it lasted for 5 months, I was at the end of my rope. I was self-medicating, and I was in pain, and I walked in the house, and I saw a means to the end, and I acted on those thoughts. And during that time, not only was I manic, but I lost my job, I lost my best friend, and I was living in Louisiana, so a hurricane came and took everything that I owned out. So not only did I have these negative coping skills, but now I don't have a purpose. I lost my job, I was manic, and when you don't have a purpose, you kind of feel hopeless. And that hopelessness is where it's hard for you to it's nearly impossible to see tomorrow. It's just you're tired.
Where time just seems to be drudge, and all I want to do is I've got these things in my head, and I just want to get to the next minute, and I just want to get to the next hour, and I want the pain to go away.
Yeah, for sure. That sums it up pretty well. For me, that was a lot of like ADHD. It's a processing disorder, and sometimes you don't have that reverse and forward thinking. You're very in the moment, and it's hard to think that tomorrow is going to be a better day or 1 minute's a better day, and you're so stuck in the now, the pain right now, and that pain just it like becomes you. It takes over everything, and all you can do is obsess about that pain, that manic episode, or that hopelessness, or losing your job, or whatever's going on in your life. You just become obsessed with that, and it's hard to grasp hope that in an hour it's going to be better, tomorrow is going to be better.
Right, you're just minute by minute. And what's it like to come out of a coma? You said that you were in a coma for a couple of weeks. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, in my brain, or in the coma, I was in a bed and I had all these tubes plugged into me, right? And I was fighting. I was strapped down. I was fighting to get out. And I didn't know this, but the security guard in the hospital, I was like breaking straps, and like I was literally trying to get back. And for like the whole time I was in a coma, like I had so much anxiety, and I was just fighting to come back. And when I woke up with the tube being pulled out of my throat. And when I woke up, that's when I realized that I failed and I was alive, and then trying to function and get up out of the hospital bed and walk, and realizing that my brain was not sending signals to my feet and to my legs. It was tough. It was hard. It was scary. It was horrifying.
Oh crap. What do I do now? Right.
Right. Wow. And it was hard. It was really hard.
You're doing some amazing physical stuff, including, is it July that you're doing the 400-mile journey from Hell, Michigan to Paradise, Michigan?
Yes. So to rewind a little bit, last year I did 11 medals for the 11 years that bipolar took over my life, from 2012 to 2021. And I have seen the positive impact that physical fitness has on my bipolar and my mental health. And it really helps me balance the imbalance of the bipolar. So after successfully achieving I did 10 triathlons, and I swam around Mackinac Island last year in 4 months.
How long did it take to swim around Mackinac Island, man? Wasn't that cold?
So it was cold. I had a wetsuit, and it was amazing. So I went there with this predetermined idea that I can swim a mile in 35 minutes. So I thought I could do this whole Mackinac Island in X amount of time. And well, Mother Nature had different plans, and there was 4 to 6 foot waves, and that 8.5 miles turned into 9.5 miles, and it took 8 hours to swim around the island.
Oh my God.
And it was, when I got done and I got out of that water and I sat on that grass, it was one of the hardest, the most amazing things I've ever accomplished in my life. Like, it was beautiful. And that feeling will never go away. No one can take that achievement away. I did that. And while I did the 11 medals for the 11 years, I thought to myself, what's the next big thing? And I heard about this motorcycle group that rides from Hell to Paradise every year. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's water in there. I could turn that into a triathlon.
Uh-huh.
I said, all right, so Hell to Paradise, that kind of symbolically, that's my journey. That's my life. So it's 330 miles from Hell to Mackinac. And then I'm swimming 5 miles under the bridge with the Mackinac Bridge swim that happens every year. And then I get out of the water in St. Ignace, and I run 65 miles to Paradise, Michigan. and I'm doing this in 4 days.
4 days. Wow.
Yeah.
And so obviously
the goal is,
you're training now, right?
yeah. I train a lot. I train probably 5 or 6 hours a day, if not more, plus, like recovery and everything else I do. But I train a lot. And like I said, training and physical fitness saved my life. It helps me balance the imbalance. And, this goal seems so impossible, just like sometimes it did to survive a day.
Yes.
Like some days it's just thinking about 1 minute from now is impossible. And so does this goal. And impossible is only improbable. And the only reason we think things are impossible, or we feel things are impossible, is because other people tell us, that's impossible. You can't do that. So we think that's impossible, but it's not. The impossible is only improbable. And improbable is achievable.
Yes.
Getting to tomorrow is achievable.
Yes.
Getting 1 minute from now is achievable. And so doing this, I'm going to be raising money and bringing suicide awareness and raising money for Barb Smith's Suicide Resource and Response Network, because the impossible is improbable and tomorrow is possible. You can do it. You can make it. 1 minute from now, tomorrow, you can do it.
Once again, that's Brandon Hilliker from Generating Gratitude that played here this weekend. You can hear the full interview at WSGW.com. It's also available online on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Audible. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, talking with Joe a little bit more here on WSGW.
Warmer weather is here, and
this morning I'm joined by Joe Volk, host of Generating Gratitude, Saturday mornings at 7 and Sunday evenings at 5 here on WSGW. And we were just listening to a segment from the most recent edition of Generating Gratitude with Brandon Hilliker.
Talking about things that people don't talk about. Nice people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Nice people. But it's interesting. I saw a stat the other day that, you realize that 1 out of 4 people in the state of Michigan, have had a problem with alcohol?
Really?
Yeah. Some have had too much. Some problems, they don't get enough. I don't. But, yeah, it's, alcoholism, drug abuse, cancer surviving, surviving with missing a limb, all that sort of stuff. We just like to tell fascinating stories. But I got an exercise for you. I was listening to this, and this is a very cool exercise. Try it sometime. Put your phones down, get off social media, and think a little bit,
No, that scares me, Joe.
If you had to write your own eulogy, what would you say? Now think about that. If you had to write your own eulogy, if you wanted something read at your funeral, you had to get up and speak about yourself, what would you say? It's one of those things that's kind of terrifying and gratifying at the same time. Kind of like marriage. Terrifying, gratifying sometimes, till they take half of everything that you own.
Well, that's not the marriage part. That's
but no, think about that. What would you say about yourself? And then if you want to take it a little step further, ask one of your friends what they would say about you.
Oh.
And see how it matches up.
Wow.
But the point is when it's all over, when you're nearing the end of your life, and I've talked to a lot of people that with terminal illnesses, I've talked to a lot of older people. They give you a perspective. Because if you had to give your own eulogy, what suddenly becomes important to you? And see, this is why all this culture of outrage and this political division stuff is crap.
You mean
Because
avid Facebook commenter isn't something that people would put in their
well, no,
eulogies normally?
well, put it this way: it doesn't matter.
No?
What